All right. I think I'm live. I always like to hop in a minute or two early to these things to make sure that folks can actually see and hear me. So give me like a thumbs up or hello in the chat if you can see me. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. I see Jason. Hey, Jason. Yeah, you know what? So we're going to look at a couple of practice exercises today. We will go over them with a metronome. So yeah, if you've got a banjo, it would you'll get the most out of this for sure. So yeah, grab your banjos. We're playing tonight. I say tonight. I'm in England. It is Friday night here. I guess it's probably mid afternoon for most of you. I know most of you all are in the U.S. Hopefully, better weather than we're having here in London. It's been storming all day. Hopefully, it doesn't take out my internet. Something like that happened last time. Between the storms and my puppy Jolene, who's been chewing on my cables, it's been a little bit rough keeping everything going here, but we're getting there. So yes, can you guys give me a heads up if you can see me, hear me? Yes. All right. Hey, Al, good to see you. Awesome. Hey, Ed. That's weird, right? This thing's like whatever I say goes out in like a couple of minutes from about a minute delay, so it's always a little confusing for me. Okay, let's get started. It is 8 o'clock, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I guess. So today we are looking at increasing your clawhammer banjo accuracy. So that is both single note strikes and drop thumb, because I really think of them in the same way. And I think once I explain this, this will really help you quite a bit in maybe not being so intimidated by drop thumb, and kind of give you some good exercises, some good tips, some good tweaks here. I used to really struggle with this myself, and just these drilling for a couple of minutes at the start of my practice sessions really made all the difference. Um, hey, Todd, Steve, everyone's here. That's awesome. Good to see you all. So I just want to mention too, I've got my little text here. I pointed the right way for once. That's amazing. All these exercises we're looking at tonight come from the 30-day right hand clawhammer banjo challenge. It is on sale this week. I'll leave it up for a couple more hours after this live stream. But the way it works is every day for like 30 days, you're going to get an email with a video. It's like a 5 to 10 minute video with a practice exercise where we break down a right hand technique and just kind of get you set up and going with that. Like it's a really sort of concentrated practice for your right hand for 30 days. Really big improvements in there. Hey, Ron, good to see you. Okay. So let's get started. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go into close-up mode here. And by the way, guys, feel free to ask questions in the chat around technique, around whatever else, challenge, anything banjo related. Happy to hang out for a little while, answer questions, help out, right? Cool. Yes, we are in standard G tuning. And like I said, we're just going to be doing some practice exercises. We won't be playing like songs, so it's not too big a deal, but I'm in open G tuning. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is just that single string strike with that double thumbing pattern. We do like the regular like bum diddy with the brush stroke and all that, but really I like to think of that double thumbing pattern as sort of the foundation of everything else. If you get that solid, the bum diddy rhythm is easy. So let's just do that double thumbing pattern, and we just want to work on getting those notes nice and clear. And what I want you to think about when you do that double thumbing pattern is just sinking your thumb into the fifth string and getting a nice solid hit on the first. I'll give you a couple tips to do that, because I feel like this really starts with where your hand is positioned on the banjo. I always go over this because I think it is so important. So what you're going to do, put your hand out like you are going, let me see if I can tilt here, right way. Okay, put your hand like you're going for a handshake, and then just bring that in to the side of your banjo, and then pivot your hand in. Feel free to move up and down depending on where you like to play, and you'll get different sounds on different places. But the key thing is really you want to be planted here on the side of the banjo, however that is comfortable. I'm just going to curl your hand into that loose claw shape and then use that to strike and use that pivot. There'd be a little bit of wrist action in here. You don't have to like hold it stiff, but the majority of the motion is going to come from your arm on the edge of the banjo using that pivot. Other thing I want to mention too, I like to think of a line right here on my palm, right? I really want to keep that centered over the strings. We want to reduce lateral motion wherever we can. We really want to build that muscle memory, right, of where our fingers are in relation to the strings. And if we are moving laterally a whole lot, that really is just more for us to think about, more sort of spatial awareness we need, more muscle memory we need, and it's just more difficult. So the way I like to do this is just generally try to minimize my lateral motion and keep my palm centered over the strings. And you just get that nice, clean hit. One thing I'll mention too, a lot of people like to debate between index finger and middle finger to strike those single strings. I'm going to tell you my honest opinion is it doesn't matter. Years ago, I saw like these amazing players that played with their index finger where I used my middle finger. And I thought, oh, that's like what I'm missing, right? I got to switch that up. Spent like a couple months retraining to play with my index finger. I still play with my index finger, only to find that it was a waste of time. It doesn't matter, right? So do whatever is comfortable for you. I'll say index finger because that's what I use, but if you prefer your middle finger, that's fine. Okay, so yeah, Steve says middle finger because it has a better nail. Yeah, I know, right? Like I wish there have been times I've broken my index finger nail, and I wish like I'm out of habit with my middle finger now. It's always tough. It would be nice to be able to be ambidextrous that way, I guess. Okay, so now let's talk about the reason we keep our palm centered over the strings. If we do that, well, how do we hit those inner strings, right? This is really cool. This is the way it works. This is the way I think about it and the way it makes it so much easier. Is all you're going to do, let me get this centered here. Cool. Okay. Is we want to think about rather than moving our hand laterally, we just want to move our index finger towards our thumb when we strike those inner strings, right? So my palm is still centered above the strings. I'm just basically closing my hand as I move to those inner strings. I'm going to give you a really convenient exercise here to start to get used to that motion if that's not how you normally do it. All you're going to do that single string strike on the first string, dig your thumb into the fifth and leave your thumb dug in there. Reset with your fingernail onto the back of the first string. So the back of your fingernail is on the first string. And now just close your hand a little bit, move your index finger towards your thumb. So now the back of your fingernail is resting on that second string. Come back out, strike. It is a little hard to strike like that because you're not going to have the momentum of your arm, but you kind of get the idea. That's how you can really start to internalize that that motion of closing your hand and start to get used to that distance. But in my opinion, there is no better exercise for this. It is a simple one. I think it's like day 1 or 2 of the 30-day challenge. That really is just ascending and descending on the strings in that double thumbing pattern. So all we're going to do, I'm going to start double thumbing pattern here. And I'm just going to move my index finger towards my thumb and back out. So I'm going to put on a metronome and let's just give that a try all together, okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. more time. Yeah. All right. Um, Ron says this exercise is so nice to just brainlessly do while watching some brain rot video. Yeah, totally. Like, my wife is so tired of me doing these exercises just while I watch TV. Like, just like I always joke, I have banjos sort of strategically stashed around the apartment, and I do tend to just pick them up and do these exercises. That's okay. You know, someone told me the other day that they stuff a teddy bear into the back of their banjo so that it's just fully muted, and that's probably a really good idea. That's all right. Okay, where were we? Smart noise canceling earbuds. That's a good call. Okay, that is like our most basic exercise, right? To just start to increase our accuracy. And actually, I'm going to make myself big again to talk about this. And we talk about practice routines for this stuff, right? Like no one wants to sit here and drill this stuff all day. Yeah, it does kind of make sense if you're just watching Netflix or whatever, but like practice time is precious, right? Like we've all got responsibilities. Um, Most of us unfortunately just can't sit there and play banjo all day. And like no one wants to like, oh, I got a half hour to practice, better drill string accuracy. Like that's no fun. I want to play songs, right? So here's what I recommend. Um, one of two approaches. I like periods where you can really start to drill this stuff and spend, 10 to 15 minutes a day on an exercise. Um, that's good for something like that 30-day challenge. But outside of that, like, don't worry about it. You're going to make tremendous progress just 1 to 2 minutes. So, what I do most days is when I start playing for the day, I'm going to spend 1 to 2 minutes just drilling something that maybe has been giving me trouble lately. I just put on a metronome, do a little practice exercise, and just that's basically how I warm up. And what's so cool about that, what happens is that really kind of sticks in my brain. It almost sets an intention for the day where what ends up happening is that as I'm playing, as I'm going through other songs, doing whatever else I'm doing, it say I drilled like drop them for 2 minutes at the beginning of my session. My brain is just naturally gonna pay a little more attention to those drop them pieces. I'm gonna be just focused on those a little more. So I kind of extend that technique practice through the rest of my practice session, even though I'm not actually just drilling. So that's really what I recommend. Like, unless you're going to be like a professional banjo player or something, there is no need to put yourself through just drilling, right? Cool. Okay. Let's look at, and feel free to put any questions about single note striking in there. I'm going to move on to drop thumb here. And here is what is so cool about this, I think, is that drop thumb doesn't have to be this scary thing. I really think drop thumb is exactly the same thing as just our regular single note strikes. The only difference is rather than move our index finger or middle finger towards your thumb, you're just going to move your thumb towards your index finger, right? Same thing. You can do that same practice of just come in and then reset your thumb, say on the fourth string, and just get used to that distance, right? It's so simple, right? So that is really all I want you to think about, right? You're still keeping, I think this is the most important piece of it. You're still keeping your palm centered above the strings, but you're just moving your thumb out towards your index finger and back. For this exercise, that's what we'll do. Alvin asks, what about drop thumbing in 3/4? I don't really see a difference. Yeah, I mean the technique is the same. It's just the counting's a little different. Yeah, I mean, I don't really. I guess I don't think about it any differently. Still the same technique. You might just have to get used to counting it a little bit, but pretty similar overall. Um, so what I would like to do, so let's do a couple things here. We're gonna try two little exercises here. The first, I just want you to get used to that feeling of moving your thumb. So I hear you towards your index finger on that drop thumb, rather than I have a feeling because I've seen this a lot. A lot of you are probably used to moving your hand sort of laterally there, right? Just sort of moving your hand down the banjo to hit that first or hit that fourth string, and then just sort of compensating by then moving your index finger towards your thumb. That's sort of the opposite of what we want to do. We want to move our thumb towards our index finger, keep our index finger more or less static. So what I'd like to do is we're just going to practice just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so I'm just doing a double thumbing pattern. My index finger is just hitting the first string, and I'm going back and forth between the fifth and the fourth string with my thumb. Ron asks, okay, just a small check question. When drop thumbing, you use the same thumb motion as on the fifth string, right? As in not plucking with the thumb, but lifting the whole hand. Yes, that is correct. There is, I will say, there is a small adjustment you're probably going to need to make. I find it super helpful. I'm going to zoom in really close here. So, what I find when I dig into that fifth string, like you can see, my thumb it's like bisecting the string. Sorry, I'm stepping away from the mic here. My thumb is really like that string is going right down the center of my thumb. When I drop thumb, necessarily it's going to be further down, so it's kind of in that bottom like quarter of my thumb. I'm not digging in quite as I'm still digging in, but I'm not digging in quite as much. And the reason is if I just kind of go the whole way, there's just not enough room. I'm kind of muting the strings around it. It's just not going to sound too good. So I'm going to think about sort of digging in the lower sort of quarter of my thumb. But yeah, it's the exact same motion. So you're not going to want to pluck like that or like that. Like I'll admit you'll sometimes see me do. Bad habit. Don't do it. Don't be like me. I've tried for about a decade to break that habit because I learned kind of the wrong way. That's one of the reasons this stuff can be so helpful to drill in the beginning, because you don't have time to build these bad habits. But anyway, yeah, so when you drop thumb, same thing. Your thumb is just going to follow the rest of your hand up, and it's not going to move laterally and make a plucking motion. Okay, so I'm going to put on a metronome, and we're just going to go back and forth between the fifth and the fourth strings, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just think about making those notes as clear and clean as possible. Think about sort of digging in, like I said, in that lower quarter part of your thumb so that you're not muting the fifth string, and so that continues to ring out as you do that drop thumb on the fourth string. Other little thing I'll mention around muting strings, one of the reasons a lot of people's drop thumb can sound a little not so great is that it's really easy to mute the strings around where you're playing the drop thumb. I think this is like especially true between the if you're drop thumbing on the first and second strings. So you kind of come in, and when you set, sorry, it's hard to demonstrate here, but when you set, yeah, your thumb, when you dig in your thumb into that second string, you're muting the fifth string. And that really happens for like one of two reasons. One, sometimes you are sort of following your finger through and rolling your wrist just a little bit, and then that fat part of your thumb comes over and hits that first string. That tends to be, if I mute it, that's usually what happens. I just kind of followed through a little too far and rolled my wrist. Other thing that can happen is when you dig in, that second string just has a lot more give to it than the other strings, and it can be easy to press it just a little too far and mute that first string. Not a big deal, any of this. It's just something to be aware of, like, as you are working on this, think about your tone, think about the strings you're muting, and just see if you can be conscious of that and go slow until that is comfortable. Okay, so the next little exercise we're going to do then for the drop thumb is we are just going to do exactly what we did with the index finger, where we went down. Well, we're just going to do the exact same thing with the thumb. We're going to move our thumb towards our index finger and back out. So it's going to be just like that, right? And again, think about nice, clear tone. Think about where you're digging in. Make sure you're digging in each time. And think about keeping your palm centered above the strings. That'll help so much. All right, let's give this a try. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Last time. All right. That's one, like, if you've not done that before, yeah, it'll take you a little bit of practice, but super worth it. By the way, I see this thing. I'm going to go big for a second. This has nothing to do with banjo. It's just my new favorite thing. My wife just found this in a vintage shop here. I just saw it sitting on my desk. This is a wood plaque from the 70s with a wizard painted on it and unicorns, like a whole row of unicorns. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Is definitely, you will see it in the background of my videos very soon because it's like my favorite thing ever now. Anyway, let's tie it together. Yeah, so I want to quickly tie these exercises together. This is the bonus exercise. This is like my favorite claw hammer banjo exercise. This one, yeah, I think, yeah, this one is definitely in that 30-day right hand challenge. Like I said, it's on sale. Last bit of salesmanship here, but go pick that up if you want to. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so the last thing, and I think it's so good to do, we're going to combine those two exercises. So we're going to start moving our index finger towards our thumb and back out again. And we're just going to do the same thing with our thumb towards our index finger and back out again. So the way it's going to work, we're going to start here. We're just going to move our index finger towards our thumb. And we're going to move our thumb towards our index finger. You know, it's so like I think these things require such a degree of concentration, and I think that is one of the fun pieces of it. Like one of the most fun things, in my opinion, about all this banjo stuff, all this music stuff, is it really does force you to kind of stay focused on that present moment. I guess we can get a little zen here, right? But like, I think that's so cool that, like, if I start worrying about what I just played, like, this didn't sound too good, or what's coming next, that is when I mess up. I messed up there, descending with that drop thumb at the end because I started to think like, okay, now what do we want to do with the metronome? Can't do that. And I think that's what's so cool, is just keep that focus is so helpful. Um, oh, thanks so much, Ron. Yeah, so Ron joined the challenge a few days ago. He's on day 4. Awesome. Yeah, I think that like 15 minutes a day is so powerful. Okay, so let's getting distracted here. Let's go. And people are dropping off the live stream. Last thing we're gonna do, we're gonna do this exercise together, and then I'm gonna send you guys on your way. Okay. So hopefully you have your banjo, and we're just gonna do that descending with our index finger and then our thumb. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now thumb. One more time. All right. Um, that's all there is to it. Let me tell you, like, if you guys, by the way, I will be wrapping this up in a minute. So get your questions in now if you have them. Happy to hang out for a few more minutes and answer questions. But yeah, like that, just that drill, that is like my absolute favorite little exercise for claw hammer banjo. Like, if you do that for 2 minutes a day for a month, man, like you'd be amazed at the progress you make in terms of your accuracy, in terms of your rhythm, everything. That's why I love the metronome. I use this physical metronome. You can also just go to Google and type in the word metronome. They've got one there. Works just fine. I just like the tactileness of this one. It reminds me of when I used to play like piano when I was a kid. I think everyone had that sitting on the piano when they went to learn. Alan says more live sessions would be awesome. Yeah, I think these are really fun too. I'm gonna see about doing a few more of these. Um, Cool. But thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Um, by the way, next week I am doing a deep dive, kind of like I did with my Pretty Polly video. We're going to really explore Wild Bill Jones. I'm super excited about that. So that'll be next Friday. I'll see you then. And yeah, talk to you guys soon. All right. See ya. Have a good one. Thanks, guys. Awesome.